new and a fascinating topic. Maybe not for many of you, but surely for me, because I don't belong to the area of psychology and so on. So I don't understand the integrate into studies of emotions and consciousness and all of that. But somewhere deep inside, this is associated with healing. So I thought that perhaps a deeper study can make all of our lives more interesting, and it's perhaps more interesting to understand how does the map of consciousness work, and how it manifests in the form of different energy in our body, in our system, and how does it interact with spirituality, or is there anything to do with spirituality in this? So this is my starting slide, opening slide, and you see on the left hand side there are three blocks, as you see. If you are at a low state, then it's kind of a always feeling of victimness, that I'm a victim of circumstances, I'm abused, or at a low state. Then when you move up, you have a form of self-empowerment, which is mostly the end of the third dimension and moving to the fourth dimension of consciousness. It spills over a bit into the fifth layer of consciousness, which is much of wisdom and love and light. And then, of course, the higher dimensions of consciousness are there, which is not for the general or a normal human being. It is at a very higher level of self-realization and enlightenment, which gradually leads to the 12th dimension, which is full consciousness, and it's full of divine love and integrity. So with this, we start the session. And sorry, just 1 second. Yeah. So consciousness is something that I think there are various sessions which have been taken at various points in time on consciousness, and what consciousness is all about, and how does it manifest in a human body, human system, in mind, and so on. According to me, there are different levels of consciousness. Overall, by consciousness, in very simple language, we mean awareness, mindfulness and awareness, and so on. We will talk about the different levels or the layers of consciousness as I see it. The first is, we call it the insight of objects, which is unseen, which we can't see. For example, if there's a wall behind, I can see the outer part of the wall, but I can't see the inner side, inner of the wall. So something that cannot be seen or perceived is the inside of objects, and it is the lowest form of consciousness. You can see the outer shell, but you can't see anything within there. Of course, we can't see through our naked eyes, we can't see. Next comes the five senses that we have. Anything that we can feel and perceive, and we can use any for five senses to get an idea of what it is, are the five senses, as you know. Then comes the slightly advanced part, which is beyond our five senses. So these are mostly into entering into the domain of feeling and thoughts and imagination and so on. So many magnetic forces work in this domain, some of which is in the form of energy, some of which is in the form of soul connections and so on. And these are magnetic fields, and they can exist between people, they can exist between things, and so on. For example, if I am here and very far, maybe 2,000, 3,000 kilometers apart, my mother is there 3,000 kilometers apart, and if something wrong happens, I suddenly get a feeling that I think I should call, or something happens. Many times I have this feeling. I have a very dear friend called Puneet. He suddenly calls me off the blue. Maybe he has not called for the last 15 days. He suddenly calls me and says, Debashish, is something wrong with you? Are you all right? So he gets a feeling that something is wrong with me, so he calls. And believe me, 80% of the times he's correct. So these are the magnetic forces that happens that are there among people, among things. Um, Duality of forces is slightly complex. It's a meditative state when we are able to calm down our nerves, our system, and we are deep within ourselves. We are in oneness with ourselves. Then we can feel the duality of forces. The duality of forces is the interaction between the third and the fifth, level of consciousness. So it's the new humanity or the new humanity consciousness that you see there is a higher form of light, higher form of wisdom, and higher form of love. That is the higher side, and the lower is the third dimension, which many of us go through: anxiety, need, the irritation, the negative emotions, pride, and so on. Those. So to create a a stage which helps us to connect the two, to move out of our very human emotions, often which are not positive. A connection cord that can take us to the next level of fifth consciousness is a meditative state, is meditation. So all of us do a lot of meditation. I'm sure there are a lot of sessions taken on meditation on this platform also. And you will agree, all of you will agree that when you are meditating, you are in a higher state of mind. You forget all the irritation there in your mind. You forget jealousy, you forget pride, you forget irritation, you forget all the negative traits that a human being have, and you are gradually entering into a state of calmness within and out. So you are in harmony with your environment when you are in a meditative state. So that is the duality of forces. It connects the two levels of the third dimension and the fifth dimension. Then, in fact, through meditation itself, we can reach a peak of consciousness, which is awareness of forms in totality. So the first level, as you saw, inside of objects, we can't see what is inside an object. We can't feel what is inside an object. But when you are at the peak of consciousness, you can actually feel it. And this feeling is not the material feeling, it is the feeling through imagination. But the imagination can be so strong that it is real. You can feel it real. And in this platform itself, we have taken sessions where we have seen that there are different realms. And this realm that we are in is the realm of touch and feel. Above this realm, there is nothing called touch and feel. It is only imagination that works. And the peak of consciousness is the height of imagination, where the awareness of forms is in totality. You can feel, you can understand everything through your imaginations. And that can be achieved through a very high level meditative state. Light of being and infinite bliss are the higher, even farther higher levels, where sounds and colors can be your mind can form and conceive through sound and color. You can form, for example, you are dreaming, or you are in a deep meditative state, and you suddenly feel that a ball of light comes in front of you. So it is a form of color. Maybe it is a white ball, or it is a purple ball that comes in front of you. So it takes a form, it takes some sound, and it communicates with you. So that is the light of being. And all of us have deep inside a light of being, which we sometimes recognize, sometimes we fail to recognize. And infinite bliss is like, it is infiniteness, it is endless, and it's the highest form of consciousness, which here also you see as full consciousness, or the supra causal truth. It's divine love. So this is kind of a background of consciousness, but we are not going to dwell much into this. We are going to move to the map of consciousness, which was first introduced by a person called David Hawkins. And he had close to and conducted close to 22 years of research. And with this, he came up with this, unique concept of map of consciousness. And through the map of consciousness, he could define different levels of emotions and what kind of energy it carries, what are the ways in which it manifests in the physical self, at the soul state also, and what is the perception about God level in it. So without much ado, I will go to that. There's a wonderful chart I will show you, which will actually capture the map of consciousness. And somewhat like this. There's a deeper map, which I'll come later on. It's here. This is the deeper map. Maybe I'll show this first and then go to the previous one. So this is actually the map of consciousness as it was developed by Hawkins. And there are different levels. It will take some time for me to explain the map of consciousness. But overall, as you see in the left hand side, you will see there's something called the levels of. There are levels of falsehood, levels of truth. So if you're talking about all levels below this, then you are in a poor state of affairs. It's called the survival paradigm. Okay. And above it, if you see here, above it, you are gradually entering into the levels of truth, as it is called. And in very crude language, it is called, as you enter into that, you are becoming more and more human. That's what the lower levels of consciousness, as you see here, are moving farther away from being human. Okay. So I'll go through each of the levels and help you to understand what they mean and how can we interpret each of these levels. Before that, I would like to take you through the previous slide that I was discussing, the three broad categories: survival, reason and integrity, and spiritual paradigm. And very interestingly, you will see here there are different emotions that are mentioned here: shame, apathy, fear, anger, courage, willingness, reason, joy, enlightenment, and so on. And fortunately or unfortunately, if we spend most of our lives or majority part of our life in any of these states, it also captures our soul state, what kind of a soul we are. So an infant soul will be more always under shame and greed and pride and apathy and all of that. As you gradually become more and more matured, you have some kinds of emotions which can act both ways, positive and negative. For example, you can have courage. You see here courage. You can have courage to do something very wrong, and you can have courage to do something really very good for mankind. Similarly is willingness. You can be willing to do something very good for people, and you may be willing to do something bad for people also. So, but then the energy at these levels, these three levels, is very, very high. And it is the transitional phase of enlightenment, because you are gradually moving towards enlightenment. Now, in these phases, you are provided with a lot of energy, up to you to use it in a constructive manner or in a destructive manner. Anger is more towards the negative side. Courage, as you see, is borderline, is in the middle here. Courage is in the borderline case here. So courage, again, as I told you, for example, if you take a nuclear bomb, a nuclear power can be used to produce electricity, and huge amount of electricity, or a nuclear power can be used to create a nuclear bomb. It is up to the nation's courage to decide what they want to do. The willingness, the reason. If it is positive, if it is trying to fulfill the need of mankind, then it will lead to joy and then farther towards enlightenment. However, if it is not doing so, then we will move towards shame or fear and anger. So these are certain things that come here. And as you see, there's a scale here. If you see, there's a scale showing here. This scale is a logarithmic scale. It is not a, as you see, it is not a uniform scale. It is called a logarithmic scale in statistics. And Dr. Hawkins actually used this scale to measure the power, the energy that goes with each of these emotions. Coming back to the state of the soul, if the state of your soul is in any of the lower realms, then you are perhaps not a matured soul. However, if you are a matured soul, then most of the life that you have spent will be towards reasoning and integrity, or for the spiritual dimensions, healing, spiritual enlightenment, joy and happiness, love and acceptance. So that is the flow that is there. The movement of the soul, the movement of emotions, the movement of manifestation. It all, there's a nice synchrony, as you will see there. This is the overall map of consciousness. I will come back to the map of consciousness. I will go with each of the levels, each part of the map of consciousness one by one, to help you understand what it means and how does it manifest. So if you see here right on the top, I have given the names that you saw here, the top line that you see here, this one, this. I've just captured this, and just one row here to help you understand how to read it. So if you see, there's a name of a level. Name of a level is nothing but the your current emotional state. Okay, what is the state in which you are right now? Okay, and then if you are trying to, we will come to the energy log, how to measure the log and how it manifests will come in the later slides. But right now you are just, Dr. Hawkins calculated in a logarithm scale of the emotions that we have. So if you're talking about acceptance, then it is above 200. One thing I forgot to tell you, the cutoff score of the energy level is 200. So you need a minimum of 200 as per Dr. Hawkins to be in a positive state. So in the previous slide also you see, this is 200 where we see 200, and this is the middle, kind of a middle where you come to neutrality, that neither you're positive nor negative with emotions. And this is where you are at the middle, and you are gradually becoming human. That is, the human positive traits are gradually entering yourself. So most of the discussion will hover where we consider 200 as the minimum requirement, and below that are the negative traits. So there is the third point that you see here is something called the predominant emotional state, which is having a cause and effect relationship with the current emotional state, which is the first one. That is, what I mean is, if acceptance is the cause, forgiveness is the effect. Very simple. So for example, I'm talking to a friend. I mean, this happened yesterday with me. I was talking to a friend, and I was trying to share my thoughts. And suddenly my friend raised his voice and said, "Devashik, you don't understand. You shut up. Listen to me first." Now, if somebody tells me like this, I will, what is this nonsense? How can you talk to me like this? But because he's a friend, there was immediate forgiveness. I just felt from inside that he's saying this because he means it. And he has something positive that is coming after this. And it was so true. He said something which was so touching. And all the logic that I had turned out to be wrong. So this is acceptance. Acceptance leads to forgiveness. If you're able to accept, then you can forgive. If you're not able to accept, how do you forgive? You cannot forgive. And if you're able to accept and forgive, your life, view of life is harmonious. You are not in duality, you are not in conflict. Isn't it very interesting? And if you are harmonious with yourself, how do you view God? Now here, God view is a term that Dr. Hawkins has used. God view is nothing but what is your idea, what is your perception about divine? You call it divine, you can call it God, you can give any name, but it is your higher self. Okay. So God view is God is merciful. God is showering his blessings onto me. Process is what is the manifestation that is going on within. So what is the process within the system? Now to connect all these systems that you see here, all this that you're seeing here, all this that you're seeing here, to connect this all is the process that you have here. Okay, so it may not be very easy to understand because as you understand, it is 22 years of deep research that has gone into it. But as we move forward, you will be able to appreciate it better. Let's go to the next slide. So now we have the lowest forms of emotion that we saw, and this is the survival paradigm, but is the lower state of the survival paradigm, which means there is a higher state of survival paradigm also. You can see the nice dog there. It is like, "Main to bechara hu, I am so helpless. I mean, please have sympathy on me. I am good for nothing. Please help me." That is the state. So all these four emotions that you see, shame, guilt, apathy, and grief, these four are low life state energy levels. And no surprise, it is surrounded with negative energy. It is destructive. And look at the view, God view there. You feel that God is vindictive. You feel that God is condemning you. You feel that God is disdainful. What is your state of life? It is hopeless, tragic, and miserable. And you know what one thing? It is a vicious cycle also. And many times one builds on the other. They support each other. I'll give you an example. A friend of mine, she was sharing about her daughter's recent breakup. Now, this particular girl whom we are talking about is a very charming girl, very well-behaved, well-mannered girl, really nice, really good. But it is a state of mind that she's going through, and she has just gone through a breakup. Okay, so there is grief, immense grief inside. And you know what? Grief is still not so bad. But grief has led to a guilt. How you know? The guilt that is within is, my God, why did I even do that? Why did I even get involved with this boy? I got the symptoms that it was this. Even then I got involved in, shame on me. My ego is so hurt. And now he's doing this with me. Just imagine how one builds on the other. And now, if all the four are together, working this way, combined jointly, it's often difficult to come out of this phase of lower state of survival paradigm. It's really difficult in that case. So you really need some strong will force and power to come out of this lower state. If you don't take steps, you will not be able to come out. You will be there in this state for a year, 1 year, 2 years, or even 3 years. Sometimes people are there in this state for several years and they go into depression and life is gone. None of us would want that. So you need to take special care to come out of it. You have to take an effort to come out of it. Unfortunately, these are mental states. You don't feel like taking even medicines for it. You don't even feel like going to a doctor. You don't feel like going to a psychologist. As you see the dog there, you are in the bed with your blanket. You are not going to school. You are not going to college. You are not going to office. You are not eating food well. मैं तो बेचारा हूं, मेरे साथ बहुत गलत हुआ है. So it is like a vicious cycle. The next, it is slightly higher state, but still survival paradigm. You will see some kind of activity here, sometimes hyperactivity. Look at the mouse there. The funny part is this hyperactivity will lead to nothing because it is without a purpose. So it is like a treadmill. You are going on walking on the treadmill, but are you able to cover distance? You are not able to cover any distance there. I mean, have you talked about the treadmill to a human being 100 years back? He would have said, what nonsense. I'm walking and I'm not moving. How can that be? So here, the lowest level is fear. And fear leads to anxiety. Where your view of life could be frightening. And if there is fear, there is a withdrawal symptom I mean. Beyond fear, all the levels now you have from desire onwards can be used both ways. However, here what desire means is in a negative sense. But you can have desire in a positive sense. Here I have written attachment to material goals. How if it is attachment to spiritual goals? And instead of addictions, if it is attainment, elevation, it becomes positive. Then immediately the number that you see there, that is 125, it jumps much higher and becomes higher than 200. So this is the duality level that starts. From desire, you can calibrate. It is up to you now whether to use it for the right purpose or for the wrong purpose. We already discussed about anger. Anger is extremely, it's a very dangerous emotion. First, because anger comes with a very high level of energy. Not in the energetic log as you see there, but in the physical body, it drains a lot of energy. So anger can lead to aggression. Anger can lead to hatred. Like my friend's daughter that I was talking about. If the guilt and the shame and apathy and guilt gradually leads to anger, frankly speaking, I will be happy because something is moving there. So instead of guilt and shame, if there's anger, then there's aggression. Now the person can channelize the anger into a positive trait. Make it positive. Okay. So similarly, pride. Pride is a movement gradually towards positive emotions. Still, though you're attached with external circumstances, material goals, and so on, but still you take pride. Okay. The next level. I will not talk. You just go through this. You will understand what it means. So see, we have gradually entered into positivity.
Yes.
Extreme. If you don't mind, can you just mute yourself? Thank you. Thank you. So see, courage, we discussed about courage. And if I talk about my friend's daughter here, what she needs to bounce back is courage. Again, please understand, courage can be the other way also. It can be the wrong way. And what is the wrong way about courage? I have the courage to now go and slap that boy who ruined my life. What is wrong in this statement? Statement is, the boy is responsible for ruining my life. I mean, who can ruin your life other than yourself? Why do you even think that your life is ruined? You are a beautiful girl. Entire life is ahead of you. So bouncing back can be both ways. Bouncing back and taking revenge. Bouncing back and coming to life. Both ways it can happen. Then comes neutrality. Neutrality, as you see, if I'm neutral, it will lack motivation. But neutrality has a positive angle to it. Neutrality comes with trust. I'm not doubting, I'm not suspecting. Okay, I'm not very optimistic. That is true. But I'm at least not doubting. So neutrality also carries positivity. Now comes willingness. Willingness and acceptance. We discussed these things earlier also. Now it is all about whether you are willing to let go of the emotional baggage that you have and take up responsibility of your life. If you are willing to take charge of your life, responsibility of your life, You are filled with optimism. You are filled with hope. You are full of inspiration and positive intentions. Then you will have a reason to embrace positive change in your life. The moment you are ready to embrace positive change in your life, you will see that you are attracting greater knowledge and divine wisdom. Then you are forgiving. You are calm. Within you are very calm. You are forgiving by nature. You are accepting life the way it is. If that boy has cheated me, and if I think that he has cheated me, the word cheat, deceit, is a wrong word. What is the way to think? He has his life journey, I have my life journey. He has taken a decision based on what he thought is good for him. Yes, it impacts me, but should I succumb? I shouldn't. I have to move on. Entire life is there in front of me. He has his own life journey. I have my own life journey. At some point in time, we were together. Let us remember the best memories that we have together and move on. That is the positivity. That is called acceptance, which resonates at 350 as you see it. And the moment you are able to accept the breakup, I'm just taking the example of breakup. The moment you are able to accept, you have forgiven him. You are moving on. If you are unable to forgive, it is क्रोध, anger, vindictive, देख लूंगा उसको मैं, ऐसा किया मेरे साथ. All negative emotions. It will take you nowhere. But if you are acceptance, if you are in an acceptance level, you are merciful. You need to be merciful for whom? For the boy? No, you are not merciful for him. You are merciful for yourself because it is impacting you, your growth. So that leads to something very, very profound. And that is the art of attachment and detachment. A person came in my life, I was attached. I did my best to maintain the relationship. If it did not continue, we have our own soul journey. We have our own path. He or she has taken his or her path. I am taking my path. Acceptance of detachment. I often give this example of a doctor. A doctor can save your life, and after a day, he is detached and he saves another life. Have you seen a doctor who has saved a patient's life boasting about it for the rest of his life? No, because he has to save the next life and the next life and the next life. That is detachment. And here you come to the spiritual paradigm. It's a very high level of consciousness, and it cannot happen unless you are able to let go of your personal story. What is joy? Joy is not about talking about your sad story to others. Joy is not in your personal story. Joy is how do you maintain harmony with yourself and others? Love. There could be 10,548 definitions of love. But the way I see love, it is selflessness and sacrifice. If you're not able to make the other person's life better, then it is not called love. If you're able to do it, it will lead to joy. And a higher form of joy is peace. The transformation that happens in your mind. And that is the level which is very high level of spirituality. And it is a dual existence of the physical domain and the spiritual domain also, because you are now spiritual, very, very spiritual. And level of enlightenment, we are not the enlightened human beings right now here. But enlightened beings are those whom if you think about them, you can raise your consciousness. Like Lord Krishna, Guru Nanak. If you think about even the face of Guru Nanak, you will feel charged up. Think about the face of Jesus, you will feel charged up. That is what it is. I have already discussed this, the levels of duality, because these are the levels where you can go both ways, positive, negative. So you have to be very careful about these traits. If they are there in yourself, then you have to handle them very, very carefully. Anger, pride, courage, neutrality, willingness, acceptance, and reason. All these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. These levels can play a critical role in taking you either this way or that way. So we have to be a bit careful about these levels. And some very interesting facts about the levels of consciousness. If you have the scale of consciousness, which we saw between 0 to 1,000, then if you are, talking about unemployment, high rate of unemployment, or you are not getting a job yourself, then or your finances are very poor, and so on and so forth, you are at a lower state. So which means there's an inverse relationship between level of consciousness and employment and finances. Similarly, the level of consciousness and the poverty rate, that is, again, mostly finances, you can say, is inversely proportional. But if you see the thickness of this, I've made this broader and I've made this thinner, which means the relationship is not as deep as you see here. Okay, so the relationship is less deep here. This is the most blissful situation, as you see here. If you notice, if your consciousness level is high, then your rate of happiness, joy within is even more higher, maybe 3 times more. The manifestation happens that way. Criminality, any criminal thoughts, criminal mindset, criminal actions, it has a inverse proportional, as you see here, inverse proportional. And look at the width of level of consciousness and look at the width of criminality. So these are things which are which the society experiences. And many times, as we are all part of the society, it also matters to us, because at individual level also this applies. This is now very interesting. I'll wrap up in a minute or so. You can actually measure your level of consciousness. Okay, so many times what happens, you feel something, but you are not able to understand what is the emotion that is going on in me. Okay, so Dr. Hawkins has developed this scale, as you saw the logarithmic scale there. So you can use the scale to actually calculate where you are and what it means for you. Okay, so for example, there are different methods of doing it, but a simple method is there. I'll show you. So for example, there are 2 or 3 different methods, but the simplest method is you can do yourself. Suppose you take 2 fingers. If your right hand is stronger, then you can take the right hand. Take 2 fingers, the middle finger and the thumb finger. Hold this way, okay, and block it. Make it tight, okay. And what you can do is you can first have a invocation or a prayer. Dear Divine, please give me the answer. Please give me the permission to answer my question in the name of the highest good. Okay. And then you can talk about a particular trait, and then you can say, on a scale of human consciousness ranging from 1 to 1,000, 1 being the lowest, 1,000 being the highest level of consciousness. Say, for example, anything you can. For example, even this presentation that we are having, this discussion that we are having, you can ask, today's presentation measures above, say, you can start with a lower value, say 100, and then put your finger here and try to break the lock. Okay, try to break the lock. You will see that if you are at a very low value, you will not be able to break the lock. So you can move up gradually. Today's presentation breaks at 200, 250, 230, 200, 280, 300, like that you can try. And then you will see at the level it breaks, your grip weakens and you can open it easily. Isn't it magical? So it's tried, tested, and proven. 22 years of experience of Dr. Hawkins has proven this. But there are some caveats to this. The first is, a person who is testing should not be in any negative emotional state at that point in time. Because if you are already in a negative state, then this will not work. Then you're biased. So to test this, you have to be in a positive state. So it is better that you do for others and not yourself, because when you are in a negative state, you will not be able to do it for yourself. Am I angry? Am I angry? No, am I angry? And then you try to pull it. Of course, it will not work. Okay, so these are certain things, and you can actually, as I told you here, you can start at a lower level and then you can gradually move up. For example, you can test for today's presentation, you can test for anger for yourself or for somebody, or for any negative love, any positive emotion, any negative emotion, whatever you want to test. And when the bond breaks, the level just lower to that is the right answer. Okay, so there's a famous saying of Churchill. It says, if you are going through hell, keep going. I mean, which means that it's a sarcastic statement, but it means that if you are going through hell, nobody can help you. You have to help yourself. You should have the strong emotional courage to come out of that, pull yourself out of that. Just imagine if you are swimming and if you are underwater and you are out of breath. The force, the intention, the purpose of coming out of water is so strong. You come out of water, you start breathing. That is the intention you need to have to come out of that survival paradigm. If you don't have that strong will force to come out of the survival paradigm, you will be stuck there. Lifelong, you will be stuck there. So, choice is yours. Thank you very much. I'm sorry I have taken a bit longer time than required. I'm done.
Wow, thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Yeah. Anyone wants to ask any question or share your feedback?
It was a wonderful session. Sir has enlightened us with so many thoughts that how to come out of our negative state, and we should be try to be in a positive state. And if we are in a negative, the last phrase is that if you are in health, keep on moving. No one can help you. We have to help ourselves.
Yeah.
It's really great session. It has enlightened us. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
Good morning, sir. Really very, very nice session, as always.
Thank you.
Sir, I asked you a question actually on chat as well, that I feel that generally we all keep on oscillating between all the levels of consciousness.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So what can be done for that?
Yes, yes. So that is the human part of all of us. Unless you move to a slightly higher level, it is not possible to be in a state where you never come back to the lower levels. That is the state of duality I showed you. So when you're in a state of duality, you keep oscillating here and there both ways. You know, evolved people who are really evolved, to do whatever, they are not angry. You can't make them angry at all. Keep on trying. उसको जूता मारो, उसको गाली दो, कुछ भी करो. And just the other way around, a person who is perpetually at a lower state doesn't need any even instigation to get angry. He's perpetually angry. Angry young man, अमिताभ बच्चन जैसे स्लोगन हो जाएगा.
अक्सर करना क्या है वहां तक आने के लिए?
Pardon?
वहां तक जाने के लिए, उस इवॉल्व स्टेट तक आने के लिए, what do we need to do?
Yes, the first and foremost thing that you need to do is to have the will force to come out of it. That is what the chart shows. Your willingness, acceptance. That is what it shows. Acceptance and willingness. If you have acceptance, you understand which state you are. You accept what you are. And then comes the willingness to move out of it. That is why I give the example of if somebody catches hold of your head and dips it in water, what happens? Deep willingness to come out of it because you are unable to breathe. Think about that state. Do I have the willingness to come out? If you have the willingness, nobody on earth can stop you to move up the value chain. But in most cases, you know, as I told you, it is a vicious cycle. You keep on moving. मैं तो बेचारा हूँ, मेरा तो जिंदगी ऐसी ही है, बहुत दुख भरी कहानी है मेरा. And you keep on sharing your दुख भरी कहानी to 10,500 people. You know, मेरे साथ क्या हुआ पता है? काश ऐसा किसी के साथ ना हो. मेरे साथ बहुत बुरा हुआ. And then there are people who will also console. तेरे साथ तो बहुत बुरा हुआ रे. काश किसी के साथ ऐसे. You get again. You are very, very happy now. Somebody is saying that yes, you are in a really bad state, and I acknowledge that. So that gives you, you know, self-pity. You are in a self-pity mode now. I am really, and you take pride in your dukh bhari kahani.
Got it, sir. Thank you. Yeah.
So thank you all. Thank you very much. If you have any questions, you can always write to me or message me through Shabana ji or somebody else. I mean,
Thank you.